The NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use the promo code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any NFL game, only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code SGP. We're also brought to you by Game Time. Snag those tickets without the stress. Use the promo code SGP on your first purchase to save $20. Download the Game Time app and use the promo code SGPN. And, of course, we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Play the Underdog, pick 'em in college or NFL. Win up to 20 times the amount in just one game. Use the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit up to $100. And finally, we're brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research, that platform that goes from parlays, the player props, to game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use the promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month and start making smarter bets today.
I'm just about that action, boss.
You have to be kidding me. That is impossible.
I'm raising the ante. Anybody wants any deal?
Jordan Davis, dog. Jalen Hurts, dog. AJ Brown, dog. How many people want to eat a W tonight?
And welcome everybody back to the NFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Week 1, almost in the books. We got one final game this evening in the AFC East between the Buffalo Bills and New York Football Jets. But, hey, 15 games in the book in week number 1, and we are here to recap all of them and look ahead to week 3 to get ahead on some of these lines early and often. If you're wondering who you're listening to, I am Ryan McIntyre, a.k.a. Moneyline Mac, and joined each and every episode. He's here, man. He is the old-fashioned football, a.k.a. JMark football. JMark, week 1's in the books. I know you want to forget about it already.
It was a rough weekend, man. I've seen things scrolling on the socials about grown men will let one day of football ruin their entire week, but I've seen plenty of other people let Grey's Anatomy ruin their week. So don't criticize me. My week was ruined. I'm tired of getting my hopes up and the heartbreak of these Chicago Bears that played like ass. Tired of it, but it is what it is. Shout out to RD. JMark already scared of the chat. I ain't scared. I know we sucked. One of the best comments from commentating, Greg Olson, former Chicago Bear, was talking about how the Bears need to get a winning culture going. And he said, sometimes the best way of doing that is by winning. Thanks, Greg. Thanks. That's very helpful.
Thank you. Thank you very little, as they say. But hey, man, it's only one. There's plenty of season left, but it was heartbreaking watching them just get absolutely annihilated by the same team once again, even though the guy that tormented them for 20, 30 years is now, or I guess 20 years. The other guy also played for the Jets. But yeah, anyway, I digress. Let's start it off. Let's recap. We're going to go each and every game, all 15 games. We'll lead it off on Thursday night where the Detroit Lions go into Arrowhead, get a win, get ahead in the win column, 21-20. JMark, are the Lions for real?
I don't know if the Lions are for real or if Kansas City's just in trouble. They did not look good at all. You talk about Andy Reid being one of the best coaches in the NFL. That team did not look prepared. They did not look well coached. There were some dumb decisions, and maybe that was on Matt Nagy's part. Maybe they're cursed by Matt Nagy now. But yeah, I just thought Kansas City looked terrible with the drops. Nobody seemed to be on the same page. Like, they talked about how Kadarius Toney had a receiver crossing in front of him, and that threw him off. Like, did you not run these fucking routes in practice? You knew a receiver's crossing in front of you.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought this was more a testament to Kansas City looked not prepared and not ready, but Detroit was feisty. I mean, they played how you think Dan Campbell wants them to play, feisty, gritty, and got the job done.
Yeah, I was impressed with the way that they were able to run the ball at the end of the game, bleed out that clock. I thought Jameer Gibbs, the rookie, really popped. Yeah, they got to figure out some things. I know, I don't want to overreact to week one, but offensively with those weapons, they got to figure something out with Tony because he was atrocious. That was the worst game I've seen an individual play. I mean, just the drops. The one drop led to a pick six. That's what changed the whole momentum. Kansas City was going down, in my opinion. I thought they were getting ready to go put him away. But anyway, the Lions go to 1-0. The Chiefs go to 0-1. Detroit has a hungry Seattle team that lost yesterday, and Kansas City's got to go down to Jacksonville, which they've had that one circled. Looking at the over-under was set at this game, I believe, at 52, so way under. Obviously, Detroit wins it on the money line. So we'll see if these lines are going to be covering machines again here, JMark, this year.
Yeah, it's very possible. I would also like to point out when we gave out our DraftKings ad, one of the props I gave out was David Montgomery anytime touchdown at plus 105. He got in the end zone there, cashed it.
Indeed, he did. Yeah, no, good, great win, Lions. Let's see if they can keep it going with the Seahawks on deck. Moving along to the next game, we got the Atlanta Falcons. The ATL just punches Carolina in the mouth, grinds it out, 24-10. Another under. The unders were good in week one. I think the headline here, that rushing attack's pretty good in Atlanta, JMark, don't you think?
Yeah, I do think so. And not just, I mean, I know everybody was so excited about Bijan, and he looked good, of course, but, I kept saying, both of us, Miranda and I kept saying on Old Fashioned Football, don't forget about Tyler Algier. I got him as a steal in a lot of drafts, and look at the day he had. He's still going to be very involved. They're going to run the shit out of this ball. But the pass catchers, you can't trust them. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, I mean, they're the same people. This is just a run game, though, and this Atlanta team, they're going to run it down your throat, and they're going to do it very well.
Yes, they are, and I thought they just wore them out. They were the more physical team. They won the trenches. Bryce Young in his rookie debut finishes 20-38 for 150. I'm not high on this Carolina team from a skill set position, but you mentioned Algier and Bijan. I almost said Brian Robinson. Bijan Robinson. That's a good little 1-2 combo there. They both average over 5 yards a carry. Atlanta moves on to 1-0. Carolina 0-1. Atlanta's got a big one next week. They have another home game, and it's going to be against the Green Bay Packers. So kind of look ahead. That's almost at a pick. And then Carolina gets their home opener on Monday Night Football. Interesting spot. Carolina back to the wall already. Another divisional game, but nevertheless, Atlanta covers. Game stays under. Speaking of a game that was easily under, that was Baltimore and Houston. Houston looked bad offensively, man. And honestly, Lamar didn't look that good either. They kind of just knew that they were going to win this game because they have more talent. And once they got that 3-score lead, I feel like they just bleeded that clock. What were your takeaways from this game other than boring?
Yeah, real quick, shout out to RD. Don't write off Atlanta pass catchers yet, except minus next week against the Pack. They won't need the Bears could run the ball on the Packers, so Atlanta won't need the pass catchers. They're going to run it down their throats. This game was interesting because you didn't see Lamar shine like everybody expected. The Baltimore, their offense didn't look great either, but it was good enough to get the job done against a Houston team that is struggling to kind of find themselves with all these young players, all these new pieces. It's going to take them some time, but I wasn't impressed by either team, even though Baltimore won 25-9, wasn't impressed at all. And RD got a good point. Are they calling about Taylor today? J.K. Dobbins out for the season with Achilles.
Yeah.
Torn Achilles, that hurts. They do have Melvin Gordon. Jim Harbaugh said they're comfortable with Gordon, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill, but we'll see if they decide to make any other moves there.
I was going to say that's probably one of the biggest headlines here is that J.K. Dobbins unfortunately blows out his Achilles again, and he's going to miss the rest of the year. But Baltimore, they just can't stay healthy. There's something about that team. They just struggle to stay healthy. Seems like it's the same thing again. But they go to 1-0, they cover, and unfortunately, we gave out the Texans. We were on the Texans side, so and another game stays under. So far 3-0 to the unders, and make it 4 in a row because Cleveland just dragged Cincinnati into the wet mud on yesterday and just beat the hell out of them. That was never a game. That was a mismatch in the trenches from the first snap. I don't know why they played Joe Burrow if he was going to look like that. He's not healthy right now.
Yeah, agreed. And you were all over this one, got this one right. I was on Cincinnati. I thought they would make Cleveland look bad, but you said it. It was all in the trenches because even again, aside from Nick Chubb, I wasn't super impressed with how the Browns looked on offense. Agreed. But it was just football is won in the trenches. I've said that for a long time, and I'm not the only one, obviously, that has said it. A lot of analysts have told you football is won in the trenches, and Cleveland proved that that's the case because that's where they won this game.
I thought Chubb was awesome. I didn't think Deshaun Watson was that good.
No.
A headline out of this, unfortunately, for the Browns is, why am I drawing on his name? Starting left tackle is out for the year. He blew out his knee. So that's going to be a concern because this offensive line is really, really good. But, you mentioned it. Joe Burrow, 130 yards passing, 14 to 31. It was not his day. Conklin. Yes. I don't know why I was drawing a blank on it. He's a beast. So that's a big loss for Cleveland going forward. But I trust the depth of Callahan in that system. So 1-0 for the Browns, 0-1 for the Bengals. They just continue to beat up on Joe Burrow. I think 5-1 is what the Browns are now. So it's the last team Joe Burrow wants to play. Cincinnati. They got Baltimore next week. So back to the wall. You don't want to go 0-2. Cleveland will go to Pittsburgh, a team that got absolutely shellacked yesterday. Monday Night Football seems like a good spot that will back Tomlin. But we'll get into those games here in a minute. But first, we got to talk about DraftKings because football's back in full swing with another week of epic games all season long. And who's got you covered on the action of every single one of them? DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $5 on any NFL game to win $200 instantly. Nobody's missing out on the action. All DraftKings customers can take advantage of 2 new offers in every game in this September. Get in on the NFL action with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use the promo code SGP to sign up. New customers can bet just $5 and take home $200 instantly. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-522-gambler.net or just get over there to DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details, state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after insurance. And we're also brought to you by Game Time because you got to buy tickets to get to all these NFL games this year. Tickets are expensive. There's no doubt about it. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all sporting, music, comedy, and any theaters near you. Killer deals up to the last minute right before, stressing over tickets and getting you hyped to have all the fun you need. You shouldn't be worried about ticket prices when you want to go to a game. You just want to get there, enjoy the game, not get caught in traffic, have a couple cold beers and maybe a hot dog, whatever you want to eat that day. But you shouldn't be worried about the ticket prices, especially with inflation. So they got flash deal, last minute tickets, easy way to find it. Images of where you're going to sit so that you're not at the freaking constructed or what's the term where you're restricted view where they put you behind the pole in section 303. Daniel Snyder move right there. But hey, just get over there, snag the tickets without the stress in the game. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the promo code SGPN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms again apply. Create an account, redeem code SGPN, $20 off. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Moving along in the slate here, JMark, in week number 1 in the National Football League. All right, we got an over finally. Jacksonville. Oh, man, I felt like Indy was the right side in this one. Indy
you
had
just feel
the
that
lead.
way because you picked that.
Yeah, they had the lead. They had the ball. And then, I'll give Jacksonville credit, man. Down the stretch, made big throws, big catches. Trevor Lawrence was good. He had weird fumble 6, scoop and score. That was one of the weirder plays of the day. What'd you think of this game? Interesting game.
Yeah, very interesting. Two things really stood out at me, or to me. Calvin Ridley is back. Calvin Ridley is back. And then Anthony Richardson looked way better than I expected. Did a pretty decent job spreading the ball around. I thought he would struggle passing, and I thought they would just rely on a run game, but they let him sling it, and he did all right. So, in fact, had one of the better performances out of rookie quarterbacks. So that's interesting to me. And if Indy can build on that momentum, it'll definitely be interesting there. So shout out to LG. How about them Cowboys? No,
God. No, it's disgusting, but they did look good. I'll tell you what, Texas football and the Cowboys, it's a good weekend if you're a Longhorn and Cowboy frontrunner fan. They had quite the weekend there. I thought Richardson looked good too. I thought for the most part he wasn't overwhelmed by the moment. I thought he put his team in position to win. Went down with an injury late. Minshew couldn't get him in at the last second for a cover, which I was pissed about. But yeah, no, good win for Jacksonville. Like I said, they got Kansas City on deck, so that's a cover for Jacksonville. In the first over that hits, and then Indy, I think they have Houston next week. Yeah, they'll go to Houston next week. So the battle of the toilet bowl there between Indy and Houston. No offense, Moonoff. All right, we had a live dog in week 1, and that was Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Vikings proved that they're frauds. I mean, you can't lose this as your opener. I know it's week 1, not going to overreact, but weird game. Kirk had a big interception that led to some points for Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, man, maybe they've been talking all offseason that they thought they were better than whatever the general public was giving them credit for. What'd you think of old Baker-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers here, JMark?
Yeah, I mean, shout out to us in our Moneyline round robin parlay. This is the one game we hit.
I know.
The game I probably had the least confidence in, but yeah, I mean, it was interesting because this opened with Vikings as a 7-point favorite. It closed with them as a 4-point favorite. So that line movement was interesting to me to see how much it came down. And I think the Vikings just proved that last year they got really lucky. And I think Tampa, they're going to be able to push teams around a little bit, or at least push them. They're not going to be a cakewalk, because I think Baker is going to be able to sling it to guys like Evans and Godwin. And yeah, I think they might be better than advertised. I was a little higher on them than the market, I felt like. And it's hard to tell just from this one game to see if Minnesota was just way overrated from last year, or if Tampa is underrated this year. So need a couple more weeks, but same old Vikings. They play close games, and Kirk doesn't always get it done.
No, and Minnesota's got no time to feel sorry for themselves. They got to go to Philly on Thursday night. So quick turn, and they're staring at 0-2 right in the face. So Tampa Bay, for week number 2, Tampa Bay goes
Bears.
Oh yeah, they do have the Bears, and that we've had some line movement there. So maybe a little overinflation. We take the Bears here, JMark, but we'll give out those picks on Wednesday. In Minnesota, I mean, 11-0 or whatever it was in one-score games. They lose their first one. Justin Jefferson's an animal, though. I will say that. I mean, he had like 200 yards yesterday.
I know. I was never sold on Alexander Madison, though, and I'm wondering if that lack of run game or a runner like Dalvin Cook is going to hurt the Vikings this year.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot to that, and Zadarius Smith, I think they're missing some pieces. So we will talk about their game against Philly coming up here soon. But moving along here, interesting game, ugliest game probably of the 1:00 window / most exciting. New Orleans wins 16-15, just like we all predicted. Vrabel kicks a field goal to cover the number. Another under hits. What'd you take away from this ugly game? Tannehill was atrocious.
He was, and fuck Vrabel for kicking that field goal.
I know. I know. I was
Dude.
like, oh, he's playing for the cover.
Yep. Yeah, no, Tannehill was really bad. And it was interesting to me that Malik Willis was the backup. I'm curious how long it'll be until we see Will Levis leading that team. The Saints, they were up and down. I thought it might take them a couple games to get kind of rolling with Carr there, but for the most part, I think the Saints are going to be a good team, even if it is these lower scoring, gritty games like this that they end up winning. And 15-16, I know that's a little high scoring for Colby, but I felt like this is a game he would have enjoyed.
Oh yeah, football's back. Outside of it being in a dome,
Right.
what do you
True.
think of Derek Carr? What do you think of Carr in his debut?
I think he did all right. He's got
Yeah.
needs to get things going a little bit better with his receivers, but he made Rashid Shaheed relevant. He targeted him quite a few times. I was surprised at that. I thought Olave would eat with Carr throwing to him, and he did. And we had the return of Michael Thomas, 5 catches for 61 yards and not injured yet. So, I mean, it was as much as you don't want to see people injured. It was a surprise to me to see him come back and have a decent game.
I agree. I was impressed with Michael Thomas. That's a pivotal piece if they want to go where some people are projecting them to go. And I keep looking at their schedule, man. They're favored in like every game. So I think the Saints, that's why the Saints are a trendy pick. Moving along with these two teams next week, Tennessee has LA coming to town. So battle 2 0-1s. And then, Saints go Monday night in Carolina. So interesting spot there. All right, next up, and we were dead wrong on this game, my man. San Francisco. Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Rod's not here. Shout out to Rod. He is smiling today because they just took Pittsburgh behind the woodshed and just beat the hell out of them. That was never a game.
No, this one shocked me. Of course, I picked him as my dog. I think you had him as your lock.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. And I don't know what happened. At home with Mike Tomlin opening the season, this was shocking. Pickett looked terrible. All that hype in the offseason of Pickett and Pickens and Johnson. Now, Deontay Johnson did get injured, but still, they just looked terrible. Najee Harris got nothing going, basically. I feel like they stopped using him and they started going with Jaylen Warren too soon. It was just – I don't know what to make of this. Is San Francisco really this good? I mean, I know they got a lot of pieces. If you look at total money, they have some of the highest paid players in tight end, running back, offensive, defensive lines. But are they this good, or is Pittsburgh going to be this bad?
I think it's more San Francisco. I think Brock Purdy might be the guy. Like I know he showed flashes last year, but it's like, all right, let's see it again. He was avoiding sacks, making throws on the run. I was like, man, he looks like he's in midseason form. Usually we see the Niners start slow. Christian McCaffrey looked explosive. I think this is more about how good the Niners are than the Steelers. I think the Steelers will get back right. They have started slow in the last couple of years. I know they will pick off usually a week 1 upset, but it wasn't going to happen this year, I guess. But anyway, I mean, San Francisco looks like they are back in form, healthy now at the quarterback position. They do not miss Trey Lance, I can tell you that. They go to LA next week, and then obviously Pittsburgh has the other Monday night. So there's 2 Monday night games next week. And they're going to be looking to bounce back against those Cleveland Browns. So we will talk about it on the other side, because first we got to talk about Hall of Fame bets. Win bigger by betting smarter with the NFL season. Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platforms of parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NFL, NBA, and MLB, and even soccer with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea with Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to hit. Make sure you hit the rates of any broken leg, as well as the expected win probability of the entire parlay. That is, sort all the parlays and players by the hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which ones have the best value going into that week. Stop betting in the dark. Over 30,000 users researching with the Hall of Fame to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the app. Visit HOFBets.com. Use the promo code SGPN, 50% off your first month today. Start researching, start winning Hall of Fame bets today. And of course, we're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog has a great way to play alongside your favorite NFL team all season long with their fantasy pick 'em, and you can do 2 to 5 players. Select which one will go higher or lower. Sundays, watching the games, you can win up to 20 times your money in a single game by just going 5 for 5. It's a fantasy game, and you can win real money. JMark, do you have any props that you're looking at in the Monday night game tonight? Are you looking to back Josh Allen here, or are you looking to fade your buddy Aaron Rodgers?
Well, I threw together a 5-pick parlay, which on Underdog pays 20 times the money.
There you go.
They're running a promo, Aaron Rodgers over half of a yard. I'm pretty sure he'll get that. And rather than going with everybody's favorite Garrett Wilson, I went with Alan Lazard, his buddy from Green Bay, over 36.5 receiving yards. Greg Zuerlein, Greg the Leg, over 1.5 field goals made. And then for the Bills, I think Josh Allen's going to be running for his life. So I got him at 36.5 rushing yards, and James Cook 43.5 rushing yards, both over 20 times your money. You bet $10, you get 200. You can't beat it.
Get over there and bet it now. Get over there. So watch along, make your picks, and maybe make a little cash over on Underdog's mobile app, UnderdogFantasy.com. And when you use the sign-up code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That is a reminder, the Underdog Fantasy promo code SGPN. And we're back on the NFL Gambling Podcast, talking NFL Week 1. All right, hey. Hail the Redskins, baby. 1-0. Found a way. 20-16. I think it was beyond ugly. It kind of was the game I had forecasted, that they're not going to run away from anybody. I can never lay 7 points with Ron Rivera. So, but hey, man, a win's a win. It could be the Vikings, and you could be sitting here at 0-1. What'd you think of Sam Howell in his debut? I think he a little up and down.
Yeah, a little up and down, but I think he's going to be all right. I think he's going to do good for the team. I liked his ability to move around a little bit and spread the ball around. I mean, if you look at it, Curtis Samuel, 5 catches, Logan Thomas, 4, Jahan Dotson, 5, Scary Terry, only 2, but I think that was more of the defense making sure they accounted for him. So, and, coming back from that turf toe as well. So I liked how he spread the ball around. He didn't target just one guy. He moved it around, but more so, I love the fact that Brian Robinson was the guy for them. I'm always high on this guy. I was high on him all off season. I got him for just dirt cheap in a bunch of different fantasy football leagues. So I was excited to see him carry the rock for 19 times for 59 yards and also get in the end zone with a catch there. So, and Antonio Gibson back to fumbling.
Yeah. That was the big headline I was going to say. And how can you not like B-Rob? The guy got fucking shot and he's already back. So unlike Chase Young, and that's a different story. But Washington's D-line, man, they're even without Chase Young, John Allen, Jerome Payne, Montez Sweat. I mean, yeah. What did Arizona finish total yardage wise? So yeah, 200 yards offensively. And I think they had a bunch just in the first half. I don't remember them like getting a first down in the second half. It was more so Washington was just turning the ball over and losing the turnover battle, and that's why Arizona was able to cover that. Another under squeaked by there, 36, and shout out to Ron for not kicking the field goal there to go up 7. Elected to punt. I like it. He's giving me my cover and my team a win. 1-0. Let's go. On to Denver for the Skins. Arizona, they got the Giants, who maybe that's not going to be a hard game. I don't know. We'll talk about the Giants here in a minute. But all right, that's the last game in the early window. Unfortunately, we got to move along into the late window, and Green Bay and Chicago. I'm going to hand it right to you. I don't have much analysis on this game.
The analysis is that the Bears' offensive line sucks. Their defense sucks. I'm just going to say that they all suck until they prove otherwise. Interesting, Jay Fields, usually in the post game, he's very like, hey, I did this, I did that. And he kind of got after his offensive line, saying they had too many pre-snap penalties that put them in a bad position, which is true. They did. Too many holding penalties. So it was interesting to see him kind of throw them under the bus because that's not something he has done before. I don't know if he's just frustrated or what is going on there, but and then DJ Moore, he was covered well. I'll give the Packers that, but they got to find ways to get him involved more. They didn't give up, or they didn't make that trade and give up the first pick to get him for nothing. They got to get him involved. Shout out to the Packers. Didn't miss a beat with Jordan Love coming in for Aaron Rodgers. And for the Packers' sake, hopefully Aaron Jones' hamstring injury is not a big deal. He pulled up on that touchdown there.
Yeah.
That'll be a huge loss because A.J. Dillon did not look as explosive, did not look as good. So if Jones ends up missing some games, that is going to hurt the Packers. But I think I'm not overreacting, but this is more of the Bears sucked rather than the Packers were good.
What's your take on Jordan Love yesterday? Just efficient, did his job?
Yeah, did his job. I mean, I wouldn't say he was the best quarterback you saw on the field this Sunday. He obviously looked like the best quarterback in that game, but he did his job. He moved the ball well. We had a bunch of blown coverage. I don't know how the fuck they let that tight end get so open, backpedaling to catch the ball. Now the fan in me will still say there was a hold there by the offensive line. I mean, the defensive tackle's going after Love, and he's like this because he's being pulled backwards. But whatever, it's over. It's done with. That wouldn't have made a difference in 18 points. So,
yeah. Well, we'll see how the Bears respond because they go They go to Tampa Bay. Green Bay's got to go to Atlanta, battle of 2 1-0 teams. Takeaway, man, Green Bay just continues to dominate the Bears. They're their daddy until further notice, unfortunately. That game hit the over. So what's that? The second game that hit an over here.
Yeah.
And here's another one that stayed under. Vegas, Jimmy G gets the win. Oh, the Broncos can't get out of their own way still. The same thing. If the Bear or Broncos could just score 17 points, they would win all these games. Well, they didn't score 17 again. They missed a big field goal. Oh man. Well, good win for Jimmy and McDaniels.
Yeah, for sure. As soon as I got the little notification, because I was watching the game on one of the screens, but not paying attention, got the notification, Jimmy G being evaluated for a concussion. It's like, oh, here we go. Jimmy's injured again.
Oh, I know. Guy. It was the first drive. I was like, oh, no.
Yeah. This Broncos team and Russell Wilson in general, I don't get it. I mean, he's it's been a while since he's had his MVP type seasons, but he was still a competent quarterback at Seattle, and it's just like he went to Denver and is just a completely different guy. I don't understand it.
I'm at a loss for Denver. Passionate fan base, just they're not getting it done. Russell's pulling up Russell's final stat line in this game. 27 to 34. I mean, that's not bad. 2 touchdowns, but you got to score more than 16 points against the Raiders. You got to find a way to finish drives. A lot of drives stalled out. They had a missed extra point, which obviously was impacted. And was a big impact in this game at the end. But the story remains the same. Denver finds ways to lose. They got the Skins coming to town, so we'll see if might be a good spot actually to take the Broncos. I wish Denver had won, but we'll see. Vegas, they go 1-0. They got to go to Buffalo, so they're going to be 1-1. But hey, good win, Raiders. Way to get in the win column. All right, probably the game of the day. This Miami-LA game was off the charts, and this was not an under. Tua Mania's back. Almost 500 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He gets the better of his draft classmate and Justin Herbert. Kind of like Denver, LA finds ways to lose games. That's kind of my takeaway here. How about you, JMark?
Yeah, agreed. And Tua, if he stays healthy, this is going to be a tough team to beat because they can outrace anybody as far as offense goes. I thought their defense was going to play better, but I thought Chargers defense was going to play better too. You can't let Tua throw for 466 yards. That's insane. 215 of those, of course, to Tyreek Hill, who said he's going to break all sorts of receiving records. Great start for that. I mean,
I know.
Unbelievable.
Jefferson are unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. I think both these teams are really good. I think, like you said, the Chargers find ways to lose games. They got to correct that. Otherwise, I do think both these teams are going to succeed this year. They're going to do well. They're going to be tough to play. And you're going to have to put up points against Miami because you can't keep up with them.
Yeah, they're just so fast with Waddle. Obviously, Tyreek. Tyreek was an animal. Interesting one. Miami's got to go to Foxborough next week, and LA's got to go to Tennessee. So we got some 0-1 teams with their backs against the wall next week, trying to avoid that death sentence of 0-2. Nobody wants to go 0-2 in the NFL. They talk about all those stats. Playoff chances when you go to 0-2 drop dramatically. Of course, the Giants are the one team that is still ingrained in my mind that they beat the Skins in week 3 and then went on to win the Super Bowl in the 2007 year. But you definitely don't want to start 0-2. You want to at least be able to get to, I think, through week 4, 2-2. Stay in the hunt and then start playing better and better. This was an interesting game, and I feel like this was my dog on the graphic, and if they had just not started so slow, I loved them in this game. Philly gets it done, 25-20. Weird game. Philly goes out 16-0 like that, blink of an eye, and then just holds on for dear life. What were your takeaways? I thought Mac Jones looked pretty good for the most part.
Yeah, I did too. And shout out to Philly, my new team, done with the Bears. We're just going to go with the Eagles here.
Bandwagon.
That's right. That helmet's for sale too, if any Eagles fans are watching. Yeah, Mac Jones did look good. I don't know if Mac Jones has ever had an NFL game where he's thrown the ball 54 times.
He did it because Tom was in attendance.
Right? He had to show daddy up. But yeah, 54 times, 116 yards, 3 touchdowns. If Mac Jones can continue to play like that, New England's going to be tough. I do think they started slow, but you're right. If they hadn't started that slow, if the defense had been a little bit more on the ball at the beginning there, and it wasn't 16-0 so quickly, this is New England's game.
Yeah.
So, and I think Philly, they need to really check themselves to make sure they can close games better than they did.
I was not impressed with Philly. I mean, good start, found a way to win a tough road game. I mean, comparing them, what I saw from Dallas and San Francisco, they did not look as sharp as those two other teams, not even close. Hurts was up and down yesterday too. I mean, he had the bad fumble late. He missed some throws. I think it's going to take a little bit with those new coordinators. I don't know. Philly, but hey, they got a big one on Thursday night to try and get to 2-0. New England's got the Sunday night game. New England's got to find a way to beat a talented Miami offense, or they're going to be 0-2. And then 0-2 with 2 home games is definitely not where you want to be.
Agreed.
That's going to be – go ahead.
I was just say one other interesting thing for Philly for me here was, in the offseason, you bring in DeAndre Swift, you bring in Rashad Penny. Penny's a healthy scratch. Swift gets 1 carry and 1 catch. And it's Kenny Gainwell that carries the load. That was interesting to me.
That was, and Zeke had the big fumble too, so it's weird not seeing him in a Cowboys uniform. But
for sure,
yeah, Zeke's got to be better because their defense is good, and I'm looking forward to watching that New England defense versus that Miami offense next week. This was a kind of a shocker, just with the way that they beat them. LA goes to Seattle and beats the shit out of them in the second half, blows them out, beats them by 3 scores. Stafford looked like Stafford, didn't he?
He did. Yeah, I think he's back. I think people, especially in the fantasy football community, were sleeping on Stafford and the fact that this is a guy that played for a shitty Detroit team, but still could move the ball, down the field. Did it without Cooper Kupp, obviously, which is also impressive. And Seattle, man, I thought they were going to just pick up and have a really good year, just like they did last year. And they looked like shit, I thought. Geno did not look sharp. He had some good throws, but more often than not, it was like, what are you doing? But maybe this is more of a credit to LA's defense. We saw Geno running for his life from Aaron Donald screaming, "Oh my God." So that's what you do, I guess, when Aaron Donald is about to hit you.
No doubt. Yeah, no, great. Wild game. I did not see that coming. I thought it would be a close game. It always is. But if there was going to be one team to blow out somebody, I thought it would be Seattle blowing out LA. Maybe LA's being slept on. I know Sean was all over them. All right. Well, that's another under that hits. I think
Yeah.
the unders went about what 11-4 yesterday, or
Mhm.
sorry, 10-4. I mean, they rolled. The final game, and this game stayed under, even though one team scored 40. Holy shit, Dallas looked good.
Yeah, I think I was trying to decide, did Dallas look good or the Giants the worst team?
Yeah.
The Giants definitely made me feel better about being a Bears fan. So I will say that, like watching Dan Jones score a historic low quarterback rating
Yeah.
and the Giants struggle, I'm like, well, it could be worse. I could be a Giants fan like Kramer is. Sorry, Kramer. But I think this was a mix of that Dallas is looking very good on defense, especially. I mean, the offense didn't have to do much.
No.
If you look at the stats, I mean, Pollard stayed at 70 yards. Dak Prescott really didn't throw for all that many compared to what we're used to, 143 yards. They didn't have to. This defense is just
Yeah.
that good. And if this defense continues to play like that, they're going to be a really tough team to beat.
If I told you Dak was going to throw for 140 yards, Pollard was only going to run for 70 yards, you'd be like, oh, what did they? And they won. You'd probably be like, all right, what'd they win? Like 13-10?
Right.
No,
Yeah.
I don't know how they scored 40 points other than just capitalizing off of Daniel Jones's miscues, and then obviously the blocked field goal was a huge momentum swing right off that initial drive. So, LG in the chat, the Giants and Bears are being compared to now. So, no time for the Giants feel sorry for themselves. So they're lucky actually that they got the Cardinals. They need to get right, go out to Arizona and get a win. Dallas has a big one against the team tonight playing, and that is the New York Football Jets. So they will be looking to complete the New York sweep. Well, all right, that we just raced through 15 NFL Week 1 games in about 45 minutes, some quick hitters. Now, on this show, this is what I like about this show the best, is because we're not going to look ahead to Week 2. Everybody's on to Week 2. We're going to look at Week 3, and we're going to see if we can pick out some value, see if we can get some CLV, because Rod and I were all over that last year. All right, let's go to Week 3, and what game catches your mind, JMark, right off the bat? I'm pulling up the games right now. I got Week 2 still pulled up.
Yeah, I'll start with my first pick here: Chargers versus Vikings. Chargers only have 1.5. Of course, they lost to the Dolphins there by 2, but these are two teams that can find ways to lose close games. I just think this number is too low for the Chargers because I don't think the Vikings are going to be able to put that much up on them like the Dolphins did. So getting under 2 points, I like the Chargers side on this one. I think the Vikings are in for a bad year.
Yeah, no, I like that one as well. I'll go to which one do I want to go to first? I'll go to this one. I'll go to Cleveland, and yeah, Cleveland looked good, but I also know Tennessee's a physical team. This is two physical teams that want to run the football. I see Tennessee at plus 4.5. I think that thing will come down to closer to a field goal, and I will look to back the Titans here, getting that many points in Cleveland. What is your second one? We'll give out 6 that we think will move between now and then.
All right. Second one here, New Orleans plus 1.5, even after getting that gross win. Green Bay, I think, are inflated because of how they looked against the Bears. I like getting New Orleans in the points. I think this is going to be closer to a pick 'em, or New Orleans might even be 2-0 and favored going into that game in Week 3. So I like getting New Orleans in plus 1.5 right now.
I like that. I'll go to Miami.
Yeah.
They're laying 3.5 against Russell Wilson in Denver. First time Denver will hit the road. I think that thing will close if Miami looks sharp once again. I think that thing will close 5, 6, maybe even get touch maybe 6.5, 7. So grab the Dolphins right now.
Yep, I had that one on my list here as well. So I'll pivot and I will go with Pittsburgh. Only catching one against Las Vegas because they just got blown out by the 49ers and Vegas just got a win. I think both those games were fluky. I think Pittsburgh just played a very, very good and very well coached San Francisco team. And I think Las Vegas got lucky playing a really bad Broncos team. So I expect Pitt to be favored by 3 by week 3.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Pitt, that's a good spot for Pittsburgh. All right, final one. It's disgusting, but I'll go Dallas. They're only laying 7 against Arizona. I know it's in Arizona, but there will be just as many Cowboy fans. I think that thing will go close to 14 points by the time we get to that for kickoff.
My only concern there is that seems like the game kind of RD mentioned Mike McCarthy with Fool's Gold. It seems like the game that he would fuck up, isn't it?
Oh yeah, no doubt, no doubt. But from a CLV standpoint, closing line value,
yeah.
Like I think you could get a nice middle here where you could grab the Cardinals back at 13 or 12.5, whatever it might be. So, but you're going to have to pay the tax if you want to take the Cowgirls. So
for sure,
all right, man. We did it. We made it through week 1 in the National Football League. We're looking ahead to week 3 already before we get into week 2 on Wednesday. JMark, tell everybody where to find you. I know it's Monday night, so you got a show upcoming here tonight, right?
Yeah, we'll be live Old Fashioned Football. Go to youtube.com/@old-fashioned football. Live tonight at 6 o'clock, talking about week 2 waivers and a lot of other stuff, injury report, all that kind of good stuff. Otherwise, follow me on the X at JMark Football.
They're up the X, yeah. And you can find me at Moneyline_Mac. And like you said, get over there to Old Fashioned Football because this is the most important week for the waiver wire. It's the first time you get a chance to get all these guys. So get over there. Go follow at JMark Football. Find me at Moneyline_Mac. Go check out the college experience, Big 12 experience. We got it all going on. College football's rolling. We'll see you Wednesday afternoon, everybody. Good luck with your Monday night football bets or parlays that JMark gave out, and let it ride.